The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on August 19th, 2025.
Welcome to Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Tumpop. Good morning, Pam.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. It's another beautiful Maui day.
It is a gorgeous day today. I'm so glad to be home from Oahu. We had a lot of fun at the Made in Hawaii Festival, but...
Did you buy anything?
Sort of lost... Oh, did I buy anything? Yes, I bought a lot of things. A lot of things. And a little later, we're going to talk to one of the companies that we took there, Zatara Market, and have her share a little bit about her experience. But it was a really great event. There were a couple of events going on there, so I think there was a reason that it was, we're hearing it might be a little lighter than last year. But spectacular event, and so many of our Maui companies, we took 7, but we had many more Maui companies also represented at Made in Hawaii, and, which is great. We want the neighbor island presence because it's called Made in Hawaii. So even though it's on Oahu, it's a huge event, and just great to see that many local manufacturers in the state representing themselves in such a big way at that kind of a show.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I'm definitely a shopper, and I love supporting local. So it was a great time. Well, Gary, I want to thank you for all that you do for our show. We so appreciate you, and we treasure all of your efforts and time to make this a great event for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
That. You bet. Well, folks, this morning we are going to talk with Councilmember Tasha about the latest with land use, short-term rentals, and housing. And then we're going to talk to one of those vendors that I mentioned, which is Zatara Market. She is going to be on, and we're going to get to talk with her and learn all about her experience at Made in Hawaii and what it's like to be a small manufacturer on the island of Lanai. But first, I want to begin with Councilmember Tasha Kama. She first, joined the Maui County Council as council member of the Kahului District. She is the presiding officer pro tempore for the Maui County Council and the chair of the Housing and Land Use Committee. She's been active in Maui Community Matters for over 40 years and is a founding member of the National Association of Native Leaders and Allies, known as NANCLA. Throughout her career, Tasha has focused on issues that have sought to improve the lives of not only residents of Maui County, but also specifically for the Hawaiian people that have lived here for generations. Good morning, Councilmember Kama. Welcome to Business Matters. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Pam. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited to hear that you just come back from Made in Maui on Oahu, and excited to hear from your guest coming on later on of how she perceives things and how she looks at things and how difficult or how easy or challenging it may be. But I think sometimes I like the idea of people having their own businesses. They're going to business for themselves, being entrepreneurs. They're setting their own time frames and when they begin work and when they take vacation. I think that's so great and hard to wait to hear that.
Oh, I'm glad that you're going to be able to listen in. This is a great story. I did buy earrings from her, and I have a necklace that she's going to be making for me. So, yeah, she makes phenomenal jewelry and other products, and you're going to love her story. But yes, thank you. Manufacturing is another way to diversify our economy, and we have some amazing, talented people here.
Absolutely, yes. That's what we have to do. We need to diversify our economy. Right. You see all these food trucks out there. Now you see all these entrepreneurs developing their own pop-up markets, all over the place. Yes, that's the way to do it.
It's fun to see. Well, I just
Yes.
want to thank you for all of your amazing work chairing the Council's
Oh,
Housing and Land Use Committee. I know you have been dealing with some very challenging issues before your committee,
yes.
and it's
Yeah.
a lot to take in. Especially after we had a housing crisis before the wildfires. We continue
Yes.
to have a housing crisis.
Yes.
Tell me about how you're handling and tackling all of these challenges.
Well, I think you handle them one issue at a time, one
Yeah.
moment in time, and you do it with as much grace and aloha as you can possibly do it. Because these are difficult issues and they impact people differently. And
Mhm.
for many people, it's economically, it hurts. For some people, emotionally, it hurts. So there's a lot of things that are going into some of the issues that we cover in land use. It's always about the land, and it's always about the native peoples and what they perceive as what they would like to see. It is not an easy path to walk, but I always think that as long as we have good information, we have balanced information, as long as we have people who are willing to listen and to try to understand the issues, then I think we can come up with some better policy decisions. And so when I chair my committee, that's pretty much all I do. I just facilitate the discussion. I try not to put too much of my own personal thoughts into that because I think we have 8 people besides myself, 9. That's a lot of people that have different perspectives, as well as the people who come to testify, as well as the administration that comes and shares their perspective. And that's really a lot of knowledge and a lot of power in one room. And when you hear all of that, you can come to some really great recommendations and conclusions if everybody is patient and if everybody is willing to listen and willing to work. Even sometimes you have to give up stuff, because we hold on to our own issues and we don't want to let it go. But sometimes we can break free of stuff like that. We can compromise on things. Then we have a better product to give to our people. So basically, that's pretty much how I try to handle things. You know, pretty much with grace and lots of aloha for sure.
I definitely want to say that I appreciate that sentiment, and I've watched you do that and try and bring aloha back, and and some of the things that we've seen, and this goes way back in my almost 20-year career with the chamber. It goes way back to different issues, and and a lot of the issues, as you point out, are challenging, and we have so many different points of view, and but at the end of the day, I sure hope we continue to operate with aloha and finding some compromise, and so that we don't go from one extreme to another, that we find a way to work things out. And it's disheartening sometimes to see people, as we're working through issues, just actively disparaging people. It's really been tough to see on some of these issues, and I appreciate your working to uphold decorum in meetings and ask people to be respectful and kind and operate with aloha. At the end of the day, I think that gets us so much closer to finding, meaningful dialogue and finding that compromise.
I think one of the things that was pretty disturbing, I think, through this last round. I mean, we've had meetings on one particular bill, Bill 9, for like 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings, I think. And, the meetings are pretty not nice. They're pretty ugly. People were emailing me, telling me that they were afraid to testify out in the open because they've been threatened and because people didn't like what they had to say or what they heard. And therefore, they just were threatening them. And people were being doxxed. People's addresses were being put on social media. And why do you do that? Why do you want to put people's address on social media unless you intend to do something with it? But it was really disheartening to hear that. But it was disheartening on both sides too, because then the other side said, "Oh, those guys are doing it too," and it's like children, right? He hit me, she hit me. I'm gonna hit her back. We're adults. We shouldn't do that. But I'm not sure how to how to navigate things like that. I mean, tit for tat is things that children do, but as adults we have to communicate, right? We shall communicate with your words, use your words, and some of the words that are being used are not nice words, but it's still nonetheless a word that people use. But I mean, if we can just talk, communicate without being threatened, without the fear that if you say something, somebody's going to come around and bite you, because they don't agree with what you said. So those are some of the really contentious issues that come out of Bill 9, and that's what's in my committee right now. That's pretty much on its way to the council. But we cannot let policy issues divide our community. I mean, we agree, we disagree, but at some point in time, you got to let it go, and just it is what it is, right? We live in a democratic society. The majority rules, So, but that's the difficulty, is that people don't like the way the majority rules. So we get into stuff like that.
I mean, it's really tough, right? I mean, the system is set up the way the system is, and I've seen issues over the years, as you have. I mean, there are times when it's depending on the council and depending on how people feel on particular issues. At the end of the day, there's a reason you have a majority, and it is the way the system's set up. And over the years, I've seen people will say, well, we felt heard on this one and not heard on that one, but it goes both ways, back and forth all the time. But the main thing is being kind to each other, because at the end of the day, we all still live here. We're all helping each other and working through issues like the wildfires and trying to make this a better place and fighting for housing and the kind of housing that local families really want to live here and can live here and so and information is key, and I agree. I've heard and I've shared with you, I know that, and it's many people on not just this issue, we've heard it before as well, but many people are just saying they don't feel like they can have their voices heard because it's not a safe place anymore, and that's really a tragedy. But and again, we're seeing that on Bill 9 and seeing it get a little contentious again. But the thing that we've been looking at and the council is working to address is the issue of housing, and there's lots of different opportunities on housing, but we're with Bill 9 addressing the STRs, and also there's been concern about economic impacts. If Bill 9 were to pass, what do you see going forward for our island economy?
Well, if it passes in its current form, I think it's going to tank our economy. Because what happens is, right, you send a message to the tourists that we don't want you here. That's the message we're sending. And at the same time, we're telling other people in the hotel industry, oh, you can come because we're building new hotels, right? Do you want them to come? You want them to not to come? And it's those messages that we're sending. But I think not only with the STRs, but the amount of money that we're going to be losing out from that, it's substantial. But also that if you don't have tourists coming and they're not adding to your economy, then other businesses are going to get the idea that, well, this might not be a really good place to do business either, because if the council can just change the rules in the middle of the stream, then maybe they'll change the rules on how I do my business too. So it may not be good to do business here. And if we don't have businesses here, then we have no economy.
Right. And and reduced services for local people. There's so many services that are interrelated, connected to the visitor industry, restaurants and retail and agriculture and of course, activities and events and all that. But there's so many services that we as residents rely on that would be in jeopardy. And Hawaii, unfortunately, as a state, and this is now being worked on this year, we've been advocating for decades to have a more business-friendly environment. We're ranked as one of the worst states, if not the worst. Sometimes it changes and somebody else really screws up and we move up a little bit. But, always at the bottom as being one of the worst states in the nation as a place to do business. And that's in addition to the things we can't change, like being an island state and increased costs for fuel and electricity and things. It comes down really to the regulatory environment.
Yep.
And so, that's a huge challenge.
So we have to keep the economy going.
Yeah, it's very important. And the other thing that's important, and for us at the Chamber, it's housing and economy and housing. They go hand in hand. Yes. Because our local families need housing that's attainable and actually affordable. And it's been a critical issue, and I know you have been working on this for a long time. So what do you see planned to address the housing issues in your committee?
Well, to me, any housing development that comes, I'm always going to say yes to it, because they're adding more housing. I mean, this past YDS 670, that was pretty contentious too. And so we got 288, maybe another 50, maybe 328 more workforce housing. So that means we got more housing coming down the pipe from there. We also have that I'm going to hear in my committee tomorrow on the corner of Kane and Kahului Avenue. There's going to be a development there from EAH. I think it's I can't remember how many apartments that they're going to be building, but this is all affordable housing, and it's going to be huge. And the Catholic Charities has already started building theirs right next to the post office in Kahului. So we've got a lot of developments coming in online. And of course, we've got Kekahua on the backside of Kahekili Highway. And all of those are all being done for all of our people at 60% and below AMI. So we have a lot of that coming in. We have in Lipoa the new missing middle. Yeah, they're building units from the missing middle. So I always want to make sure that we have housing for everybody. Everybody needs housing. The doctor needs housing. The attorneys need housing. The nurses, the firemen, they all need housing. Everybody needs housing throughout the entire spectrum. So try to make sure that there is housing for everybody.
Those are some of your claims. I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
And those are some of the housing that we have in our pipeline.
Tasha, can you share for people, many people, when we talk about AMI, and we talk about these different levels. So you mentioned like the 60% level, and then you talked about the missing middle. Can you share with our listeners, for those who aren't familiar with those terms, can you share, what are the members of our community that we're talking about when we're talking about addressing that spectrum, and how we look at that spectrum to make sure we have housing for all of our people?
Okay. So when we talk about AMI, it's really the AMI is a tool that is used by HUD and most housing developers when they build housing and how much the housing is going to be, and it's based upon this formula called the area median income. And so area median income goes from 0 to 140% of your of the money that people make. So I'm not sure what the AMI is right now, but I thought it was something like at 100% was something like maybe about $110,000. So if you make $110,000, you're at 100% AMI, meaning that you probably are in pretty good shape to be able to afford a home. If you're at 60% AMI, which is like half, little more than half of the $110,000 that you have, which is 50, chances are you, with your 60, chances are you won't be able to buy a home, but you could rent. And so based upon your income will determine what you could afford in terms of housing units, whether you'd be having to rent or whether you'd be able to purchase a home. And so the AMIs are only used as a guide for people, for developers, when they're creating their units and how much they're going to sell their units for, and how, and the target group that they will be aiming for. So that's what that is.
I appreciate you sharing that. And recently in your committee, where when you were talking about Bill 9, but also you brought in many industry experts, and the Chamber has advocated for this with respect to Bill 9, looking at housing and looking at the STRs. But in general, because a lot of things have been said in the local community, like, don't tell us where we want to live. We know where we want to live and where we want housing. And people, want to buy or rent in the areas that they live near, or, that they maybe grew up in, or work near. Yes. But we were saying, let's get an inventory of those people and find out what type of home they desire, whether they want a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. And you had an excellent mortgage broker on your panel. And when developers put out housing, they create a list and they say, here's what we're looking at creating, and people sign up to be on that list. And to do that, they have to get a pre-qualification letter to show that what they can afford, and that's free. That people can get those letters for free. And we were saying, why not do that now for those people who are looking, to desperately in need of homes? Of course, our Lahaina residents who are, in need of places to live, and help them see, where they're at with their affordability, where they're at with the different units, whether it be housing units coming online, where they're at even with their interest in the short-term rentals, help them understand what those units cost and what, both from built homes to apartments to if the short-term rentals convert, what they can afford and what the costs of that diversity of units are. And we've been hoping that the administration, or unfortunately the council survey didn't move forward, but to get that data. And I know the housing department director is saying they're looking to put something like that online so that kind of we democratize the opportunity so everybody can look at the list and find out where they're at. But it's, I'm really hoping to see that move forward quickly, and for people to go in and get these pre-qualification letters, and you can then talk to the housing department. So then we have a better idea of what people can afford and how to pair them with available and upcoming options.
The housing units. Exactly. And that's why I think it's important that they not only get the pre-qualification letters, but to get the pre-qualification letters, you have to be at a place where, because doing a pre-qualification, getting the information for you to get a pre-qual means that you need to make sure you have your 2 years of taxes, your W-2 forms, right? You need to have all your documents about assets that you may own, bank statements on it. And so you have to be really diligent and disciplined in making sure all your documents are in one place, and that when you need it, you can just take it out and refer to them. So that's important to be able to make sure those documents are. And once you have all your documents, then you can go ahead and use those documents, at least information on them, to apply for your pre-qualification loan. And then with that pre-qualification loan, then you know how much money you have to spend or to buy a house. And I think that's really important for people to know, because I think we imagine that we can buy this $800,000 house, but our finances tell us no can, because sometimes our credit scores are too low. Sometimes we don't make enough money. Sometimes interest rates are too high, and therefore there's a whole bunch of other challenges that tell us why we can't, buy that $800,000 house. But if you know you can buy a $400,000 house, then maybe what you need to do is, if not look for a $400,000 house, look to see how you can maximize that $400,000. Like, are there people in your family that are willing to match, a portion of that $400,000? Somebody can give you $5,000 if you can get, another $1,000 here, another $2,000. You know what I mean? That you already have 4. How much more do you need so that you can get to the 5 or the 6? But gift letters are often welcomed by families. And
to do it, it's free. There's no cost for people to go in and do that. So it's a really helpful tool for all of you listening that are looking to buy a home, or just even to the documents that Tasha just mentioned. Even if you're looking to rent and do a long-term rental, often they're as people are looking at qualified applicants, they're going to ask you questions, and you're going to have to put in information on the even a long-term rental application that would be contained in those documentation, because they're wanting to make sure that you have the income to rent long-term in units. So it's a wonderful thing to go and look at. And truly, I'm also hoping, though, that as we've talked about this, and still we really don't have good data on the short-term rentals with the high homeowners association fees that come with a condominium property, and the higher insurance because of where some of these short-term rentals are located, that they're higher in a higher insurance bracket. I wish we would see within the housing department website levels of affordability, and give people samples of, if the price is this is approximately, because Remy, the director, did a great job of showing everybody you can go online. There's these mortgage calculators to help you figure out what you can afford. But you have to know certain data to get a sense. Yeah. But it would be nice to have, some examples of, and interest rates are always changing and conditions are always changing. So from a day to day, the numbers can actually change. But to give a sense of, walking people through, like on average historically, at an interest rate in this range, or, where it's been over the last couple of years. Right, yes. We can show them if the house is $400,000, this is what you're looking at. If it's $600,000, this is what you're looking at. $800,000, $1 million or more, right? And give people just information so that they can be targeting this and say, okay, or, here's what the rental rates are. And of course, with the wildfires, our rental rates got, artificially inflated. And that's a challenge that's going to be hard to bring down again as we move forward. But the market adjusts. But with more units available, it'll adjust. But really, the reason people are crying out and screaming for housing is because we've had a crisis, and
Yes, we have.
and many don't know what they can afford, and many are screaming for things that they think, well, this is a quick solution, but a lot of the challenge is what's really affordable and what's not, and getting them ready, and getting them, helping them get the financial package together, whether it's a long-term rental or getting a loan for a house, getting them ready.
That's right. That is so correct.
Well,
and I think that when you know that you can only that the most that you can pre-qualify for is like maybe $400,000, and you look around and say, but there's nothing for $400,000. Everything is in the sixes and the sevens. Okay, then you got to tell yourself, what can I do to get me to that 6 or that 7? Right. That's what you ask yourself. How can I get to that 6 or 7? And there's a whole bunch of options, right? There's subsidies that county gives or the state gives, and people give. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can go on. So there's always hope. There's always going to be hope out there.
There's hope. There's great programs. You're working with current homeowners if they have the land to help build additional long-term rental units on their properties. I mean, there's so many facets that you've been working on. Well, let's talk about that, because you've been doing a lot out of your committee. Tell us about some of the other things that you're working on.
Okay, so right now, Bill 9 is still in my committee. It stays in my committee until the committee report is generated. But we also have, we're going to start a TIG as tomorrow. I think Nohe is going to chair the TIG. It's called the Temporary Investigative Group. They're going to look at all of the issues surrounding Bill 9 and make hopefully some really positive recommendations to be able to make the bill a lot more stronger than it already is. And hopefully with those recommendations, bring it before the entire council, and that maybe we can make those recommendations to make the bill a lot stronger. And that's what we're working on right now. So we're going to be working on the TIG for the next, I think, maybe couple of weeks. And then the bill will probably come out of the council, will be put on the council's agenda sometime in October. So that's where we're at right now. Because I think the TIG is important.
I think so. I think there's a lot of information that's still circulating. There was a lot of information at the last hearing where we learned, we as the public learned more about the wraparound legislation that the administration was thinking of, that I guess was only fairly recently known, that, and saying, well, this bill has to come first to do these other things, and that was interesting to me. But there's so many elements and facets to this, and so many impacts that need to be reviewed, and looking at how, honestly, how do we, it all comes back to, at the end of the day, our options and how we best move housing forward, and housing that people can afford and get into. So I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more. And, of course, if there's anything we can do to help, we'll reach out to Nick and see if there's anything that we could do to help or get information. We're trying to identify within the chamber just people in our realm who have thoughts on this, or wanting to find out if they're impacted in any way. Do any of our members own some of these units? And if so, how many? I know we did have one testifier who is a member of the chamber and made his made his condo available for wildfire victims. And his business had 10 people who lost their homes. And so in the wildfire, and they lost one of their staff members, in the wildfire. So, they're very sensitive to this issue and very sensitive to this issue and working on this issue, but also understanding it's a multifaceted issue, and we appreciate that, it's being thoroughly examined as we go forward. There's still, it seems like, a lot more to learn. So I appreciate the temporary investigative group. I think that's going to be fantastic. And we appreciate all your hard work and efforts. Honestly, because again, housing is one of the most challenging committees right now to chair, and your leadership has been amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So do appreciate that.
I absolutely mean it. I mean it, and I hope people see it. Yeah. Yes. Well, it's been great to have you on. Thank you. You're always we love having you on, and you're always very gracious with your time and joining us on the show. And I know you've got a million things to do today, but we are thrilled to have you on the show, and thank you for sharing all of that important information with our listeners.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam, and thank the Chamber for all that they do, too. Exciting. Made in Maui.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Great work coming ahead.
Yes.
Well, you have a blessed day.
And you also, too. Thank you.
You bet. Aloha. All right. Well, it's always wonderful to have Council Member Kama on. So much going on in her committee and such important work. Again, housing is a top priority for our community. It's a top priority for the Chamber, and we're always trying to ring in and help educate people on this issue. But we're also excited, and we're going to be joined now by Chant'e Sproat, who is the owner of Zatara Market. A wife and mother of 4, Chant'e was raised on Lanai, and after time away, felt the pull to return home 7 years ago to raise her own family in the place that she loves. Under the banner Zatara Market, Chant'e is the designer, the photographer, the accountant, and the visionary behind the company. Through her work, she hopes to share the beauty and spirit of Lanai with the world, and she makes some amazing jewelry. And she was one of the small companies that we were able to, through a partnership with the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, able to bring to Made in Hawaii this past Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Good morning, Chant'e. Are you on?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful to have you. How are you this morning?
Thank you. I'm so good. How are you?
I'm rested. My voice is a little, I've talked quite a bit, like you and everybody at the show, so my voice is a little scratchy, but other than that, I'm fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, perfect. It's good to talk to you and be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our great pleasure. We're thrilled to have you. Tell us a little bit about Zatara Market and when you started making jewelry and what inspires your jewelry.
I started my love for crafting as a little girl. My mom was always really creative. She'd bake fancy birthday cakes for us. She'd make scrapbooks with our pictures. She'd make our Halloween costumes. So she was just always creating. And I think that creativity rubbed off on me. And I've always appreciated handmade gifts. Like when I'm gifted something homemade or handmade, because it's like the time and the love that's put into it. It's like when somebody gives you this beautiful, intricate lei, and you just know that they were thinking about you the whole time they were making it. It's the same. It's the same thing with anything that's homemade just for you. And I was actually motivated to start making jewelry as kind of like a newly or married couple, because you're tight on a budget living in Hawaii with a young family, and I wanted to make nice Christmas gifts for my family and friends. So it was kind of a motivation to start making jewelry then. So it became a hobby that I really enjoyed, that just morphed into this thing that made me money and helped us pay our bills. And with 4 kids, it's like you kind of need multiple streams of income in a home. So it was just a way for me to be a stay-at-home mom, because my role as a mother like came first always, but then like I was able to find this thing that I could do at home with the kids to help out our family financially too, and just to love it too, and to share my my creativity with others.
Well, and you make beautiful product, absolutely beautiful jewelry. I will say I brought home a pair of earrings, and I know you're going home to tweak a necklace and make a necklace for me. I saw the perfect necklace to go with my earrings. So I just deeply appreciate that. And you had such a beautiful array of jewelry and some other products with you. You've had some clothing with you as well. And tell everybody a little bit about some of the other products that you also make.
About some of my other products, I like to, sometimes I get tired of just doing jewelry and doing the same thing over again. So I've learned to do like digital art. And so my kids have an iPad that I will borrow from them. And sometimes they forget to charge it. And I'm like, guys, come on, like charge the iPad. Mom needs it for work. And I'll draw like, my focus is a lot of shell stuff because it comes from our island. And so I've learned how to draw things on the iPad and create greeting cards and notebooks and stickers. And I've learned to carve stamps, and I print shirts with them, and bags and stuff like that. So it's just I love to be creative. It makes me happy, and so I've always been a DIYer. Like I've learned to make furniture and paint, and if I see something and I can't afford it, I'm going to figure out how to make it. So it's just this drive that I have to DIY things and just enjoy doing it,
I love that. And I like that myself. I have so much crafts and things in my house, and my family's always like, really, more of that? And I said, yes, because I get, right, you get a new idea, you get inspired, you want to try something else. And
exactly.
I'm a little that way myself. So tell us a little bit about how your experience was in the Made in Hawaii show, being as a first-time vendor in that show.
Not only was I a first-time vendor there, it was the first time ever, like as a customer being there too. So we have, I know. So it was amazing. We have 3,500 people that live here on the night, and I think over 70,000 people came that weekend, and it was just so unreal, like nothing I've experienced before. No other market before. Well, I've only done Made in Maui. That was the only other market I've done outside of Lanai. So it was unreal, and there was just so much talent in one building, and to be among these artists and creators that I've admired for years, I just felt so much gratitude and inspiration. And I just felt honored to share my art with so many people. And also I got to support a lot of other artists as well. I got to spend a lot of money there too. Lots of different things for myself and my family. So it was overall just such an incredible experience. And I am so grateful that I was able to get through your program and the DVET program, and just so grateful for that.
Yeah, well, we were thrilled to partner with them this year, and next year we hope to do it again, and we're planning on trying to do that again. It was great to bring 7 companies, 6 from Maui and your company from Maui.
Yeah.
And you know what I loved was hearing you, recognizing that many of your customers were following you on Instagram, and they were looking for you to come shop with you.
Yeah.
And it was great to see that.
It was kind of a surreal experience because usually I'm on the other side of that. Like, oh my gosh, I've been following you for years. But then people were coming up to me saying that. I was like, wait, what? I can't believe this.
I know, that was really cool. And Gary asked me at the top of the hour on the show, he said, well, did you shop? And I said, of course I shop.
Oh, did we shop?
Yeah.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to. And so many unique products. And yet also,
exactly.
and we also had a great group from Molokai that had many, from Molokai had a great section together in the show as well. And just to see the support for our Tri-Island County and see companies, coming in and the wholesale buyers finding interest in truly locally made products. It was such a phenomenal show.
Absolutely. I loved seeing that.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Now, did you get to meet with any buyers and make any buyer connections?
Yeah, I do. I have a
wholesale buyers. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Many people say I'm a buyer and they're a shopper, but we mean wholesale buyers, people who can maybe carry it in retail.
Yes, I had some people from Kauai, 2 people from Kauai that have shops there. I had somebody reach out to me on Instagram from Oahu, and I believe there are 1 or 2 others that took my card as well who were planning to reach out. So, yeah, I did. I was able to get some new accounts, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear it too, because for our small companies, that's a way, just 1 or 2 accounts often means it's taking their business to a whole new level. And
exactly.
Yeah, changes a lot. And then it builds on itself as you get more exposure and people see you in different markets. Then it also builds on your brand and helps leverage all of that. And so, really fantastic. We're excited to have you again this year in the Made in Maui County Festival. So now I'm guessing you're forward into ramping up, because I know a lot of your inventory was depleted at Made in Hawaii.
Yes, I need to start maybe next week. I need a little break first.
Yeah. Well deserved.
But I'm
super
excited. Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. I loved Made in Maui last year, and it's kind of a different game than Made in Hawaii. It's more small scale, but I still was able to move a lot of inventory and get as many wholesale accounts as I did at Made in Hawaii. And, it's easier for me being from Lanai to travel to Maui on the ferry. It's more affordable. Yeah. And I have family there who helped me. And I just love Made in Maui. It's just got a special place in my heart. So we really appreciate that and highlighting just the Maui County artists, because there's so much creativity and talent in our island. So.
Well, I thank you for that. We absolutely at the Chamber love doing that event every year. And for those listening, it's coming up on November 7th and 8th, always at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. So come visit. We're going to have those from Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. Great treasures. But I was surprised this year at the show. Well, it was the first time because we were able to take you and others to the show this year. So we had our Made in Maui County Festival banner up, and people were coming by and people were talking about it. And we had a lot of companies from across the state say, oh, can we come and be a part of your show? We'd love to be a part of your show. We keep hearing how fabulous it is. And I had to sadly say, I'm so sorry. It is the Made in Maui County Festival on purpose. We always do it at the back. We don't have a Blaisdell, or we don't have the Hawaii Convention Center to bring everybody in. But it's really meant to be truly made in Maui County. You have to be headquartered in Maui County. And so, but they understood. Everybody understood. And and in terms of volume-wise, we bring in 8,000 to 10,000 people, but it's for 145 vendors. And so that's what we can bring in to maximize the space. And they're bringing in 70,000 or more for 700 vendors.
Exactly.
So but the feel is so different, and that was what people were saying. We're on the lawn, it's outdoors, the breeze is coming through. It feels so different.
I love it. I love it so much. It's like you're like part of a big family there, It's like not too overcrowded being from Lanai. It's like not too overwhelming, but just it was perfect. We just love it so much.
Well, we're so glad that you're coming back, and we are so excited. We're ramping up for this year's festival, and it's going to be our big thing is always, it's always a wonderful time at the MAC. The team at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center does a spectacular job for us, and we're always working to see, what we can do for the vendors and how also we can bring in more wholesale buyers, not only from throughout our state. And we made some connections at Made in Hawaii to bring in some new wholesale buyers and invite them to register and come visit us, as well as some shoppers we invited, so that, as much as we could to encourage them to come visit us. But we try and also reach out abroad and internationally and we've been doing great with buyers in Japan. We recently heard a story that one of our companies, Starcrete, was invited to Japan to design for a Japanese company and create a logo for them. And she went and celebrated with them in Japan. So she was at the show as well. So, yeah, wasn't that amazing? So you never know.
Cool. I would love to go to Japan for my jewelry. That'd be so awesome.
And we are going to have more buyers this year, and so we encourage them to do one-on-one meetings. We set up one-on-one meetings for companies they're interested in working with directly, and then others they meet by touring the show. But knowing your interest helps. Well, I'm sorry, that's the end of our time. So I want to thank you for being
on so much. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Chant'e. You had a beautiful booth, and I'm so glad to hear that you had a great experience at Made in Hawaii. And we look forward to having you at the Made in Maui County Festival on November 7th and 8th. I wish you a wonderful day. And to all of our listeners, blessings and aloha. Thank you.
Mahalo. We appreciate it.
Ahui ho. Ahui ho. We'll talk to everybody soon. Tune in next week on Tuesday. We'll be here having another great show.